Hey guys, so I'm in the studio right now and I'm hoping that no one comes in because I want to make a quick video, but um, basically I just want to talk about my number one piece of advice to anyone who is struggling with an eating disorder or really any other addiction or self-destructive habit. And who's sick of it and ready to enter recovery, basically. And this piece of advice kind of goes hand in hand with the dietary advice that I would give, which is, of course, to eating unlimited calories from fruits, veggies, and other carbohydrate sources, all plants. But what I've really come to believe as far as especially eating disorders go is that if you don't feel deserving of recovery, then you will never recover. If you don't recover for yourself, or if you don't intend to recover, motivated by your own worthiness of recovery, then it won't work, or it won't stick. It won't be sustainable. So for the first many years of my eating disorder, every time that I made the effort to eat more or gain weight or just not restrict calories or not engage in any eating disorder-like practices, my motivation was not for my own personal health and happiness. My motivation was basically to get everyone off my back. Because I was young. When I first was diagnosed, I was 15, and I mean before that I had been restricting and doing other stuff, but I wasn't diagnosed until I was 15, and my parents were really worried about me, of course, and I was in therapy, and I hated it. I hated not being a perfect daughter. I hated being less than perfect at anything, and I felt like a failure, basically, to have an eating disorder, to have anything wrong with me. And so my motivation to recover, or to put on the charade of recovery, was not for myself. It was for kind of like, I guess, for my image, like my image as being the perfect daughter, being the perfect patient, really. Once I, started doing therapy for eating disorder and depression and everything, I wanted to show that I was making progress, because if I wasn't, then it was like, I was failing at something else. So I wasn't recovering for myself. I was recovering to please other people. And I remember at one point my therapist at the time pointing this out to me, that that I was trying to be a perfect patient, and that was kind of the problem, was that I wasn't really engaging with any of my treatment to treat myself. I was engaging with it as a way of keeping a perfect record, getting like a gold star every time I came in and my weight had gone up or something. And that went on for a really, really long time, until like a year and a half ago when I recovered. And so for about 8 years, maybe 7-ish years. But anyways, you can't do that. You can't try to recover for other people. You can't try to recover because your parents are worried about you, even though you may feel a lot of guilt about any of your loved ones caring for you and taking you to your appointments and stressing all the time about your well-being, it can't be your motivation to get better. Because if it is, then you getting better is conditional on something that is not, even though your parents' love may be unconditional. I'm not saying that it's not, but you can only recover for yourself. This probably just sounds really dark, but really you are all you have. And eating disorders and other addictions as well, but are in and of themselves just evidence of your own lack of self-value, like valuing yourself or self-love or whatever you want to call it. Because if we're honest about it, eating disorders, and as well as other addictions, again, are just slow forms of suicide. So for some reason you don't feel worthy of life or worthy of sustenance or being healthy or happy. And that's really the root of the whole problem. And you need to figure out why that is, basically, to be able to undo that web of destruction. And for myself, I found that I had to kind of unlearn a lot of internalized ideas I had of who I was, based on either things that were socialized into me through just our really, really lovely little culture we have going on, or just things that I had, being a really sensitive person, picked up through the way people talked to me or treated me or acted towards me. So there was that, combined with some other things too. But as far as figuring out why you feel unworthy, you really have to look pretty closely at who you think you are. What, who is it that you are that you think is unworthy of life? So you have to recover for yourself. Is basically the point of this video. That if you don't feel worthy of recovery, you have to figure out why that is, and then most of the time, just figuring out why it is will also take care of getting rid of that really messed up idea. As soon as you can understand where those nutty, misled ideas of yourself came from, and realize that they are not true, then it gets a lot easier to move forward and recognize that you are worthy of recovery, and that, because you are, no one deserves to struggle like you are, if you are. And so you have to do it for yourself. You really do. And once you figure that out, a lot of the other stuff will come much, much more naturally, because once you realize you're worthy, a lot of us do know what we have to do after that, which is basically to start eating. And that sounds really oversimplified, but honestly, for so many years, I never thought that recovery was possible, and now I've realized that all of the complication just really lies in that one question: why aren't you worthy of happiness? Why aren't you worthy of your life, or of food? And what are the crazy, convoluted identities that you come to hold on to, and how can you get rid of them? And of course, as support to all of that, I now 100% believe that it is necessary to be feeding your brain enough fuel, enough nutrition to think clearly. I don't even think that thinking clearly is the right vocabulary for it. There's really not a vocabulary to explain, what I or other people on this lifestyle have done, on a high carb vegan lifestyle have done in regards to overcoming mental illness. Because not many people have done it. There's not like a scientific, set of words to describe it. But I do believe that you need to be eating unlimited calories from carbohydrates, from whole plant foods, preferably fruit, and also potatoes, rice. You need to get that fuel to your brain cells, or none of it's going to make sense. You are not going to move through recovery and the work that you have to do in recovery rationally. And it's no matter how much work you do, if your brain isn't functioning to the best of its own ability by feeding it enough, then you're just selling yourself short, and you're not going to be giving it really the all that you could be if you're carved up. And within eating disorder talk, within the that field of research, it is pretty well accepted or established as a theory that you need to be supplying your brain with enough calories to get out of the starvation cycle and to break that like body-mind vicious cycle of undereating and then thinking more rationally than usual, and then undereating more because of that, and just goes round and round. So I'm not just coming up with these crazy ideas. That's something that I've researched a lot. Of course, the missing link within that those theories or that field of study is the types of calories that you're eating, because calories are not all the same, and the calories that our cells like to consume are from carbohydrates. And if you're eating more fat or protein than your body is optimally meant to run on, then it will not work the same. It just won't. And your brain is part of your body. Your mind is part of your body. So it doesn't matter if it's a mental illness. It's all linked together. And sadly, the whole field of eating disorder research would probably say what I'm doing is an eating disorder in and of itself, which breaks my heart, because it's just limiting so many people who are suffering to being stuck on the same merry-go-round forever, like I was. So you are worthy of recovery. If you don't believe me, then ask yourself why not, and go from there. And then eat a lot of carbs, and it's not a fix-all, but it is necessary support to any other work that you're going to be doing to try to get out of this mess. So I guess those are 2 tips. My number 1 and 2 tips, but they're both number 1, because you have to do them both simultaneously. You can't do one without the other. You can't carb up and not look at why you think you're unworthy of life, and you cannot look at why you're not unworthy of life but then starve your brain of its fuel. I've done both. I've done one without the other in both, variations, and neither of them worked. It wasn't until I did both together that it all snapped into place. So, I mean, not like that, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I get a lot of emails about, how to enter recovery, basically, and that if I could just distill it down into those two things, that's what I would say. Because really, eating disorders have two branches. It's your mental and emotional and your physiological functioning, and both have to be addressed to get anywhere. So, this is becoming a long video, but I'll make other ones too. But you're worthy. You are worthy of recovery, and you're worthy of carbs. So carb up, and start asking yourself why do you hate yourself so much? Because you're wonderful, and you deserve more. Okay.